I'm joined by China analyst Einar Tangen from Beijing, and in Hong Kong, Leung from the Civil Human Rights Front. Thanks both so much for joining us. Einar, let me begin with you. I know you've taken pretty serious issue with all of these protesters, so tell us just what you make of these student protesters holed up now, still at that university.
Well, they're great danger to themselves. I mean, of the 600 people who are already left, you have a situation where 200 of them were minors. I imagine that there are still some minors there and that they are in danger. This idea that they're going to hold up there and resist is simply a desire to achieve some sort of martyrdom. It will not help Hong Kong, and it will not help them or their families.
Okay, but what about their cause? I mean, none of the protesters' demands have been met since the protest kicked off, minus the final repealing of the extradition bill. The other four are still on the table, and the government hasn't addressed them yet. So they still have a cause, according to them. What action would you expect them to take? I mean, protesting on a university campus is pretty standard worldwide.
Yes, it is. Lighting fires, attacking policemen with bows and arrows, the death of 70-year-old men by being hit in the head with bricks, lighting fires to construction workers because you don't agree with what they say, terrorizing people, beating people on the streets because they don't agree. That is not standard in any university. So to try to equivocate this kind of behavior with what is going on, I think would be seriously wrong.
Okay, Bonnie, let me ask you. I mean, are these protesters effectively a danger to themselves, and are they terrorizing other people with their tactics?
A lot of Hong Kong people, instead of being afraid for ourselves, we're afraid of their safety. And a lot of Hong Kong people tried our best, no matter is going out to the street, hoping to rescue them, or doing a lot of things backstage, trying to get some sort of negotiations and amnesty from the government. Hong Kong people are trying to save our young people inside the campus, and we want this to end peacefully. We don't want any more casualties. We do not want to see anyone get killed, because police are now using live ammunition against protesters. But to make sure that it will end peacefully, we require the government to have patience and the door of communication to be really opened, because we are not seeing that at all.
Okay. I mean, Einar, the door of communication to be opened. There are no negotiations planned. Beijing doesn't think these protests are worthy of actual negotiations. There is no real plan for concessions here to meet those demands. So what should the next steps be? Because these protests will continue.
Yes, they will continue, but the question is in what form and direction. I mean, this is not appropriate to be lighting fires, to be destroying the economy of Hong Kong. I think Bonnie may feel very strongly that Hong Kong should be an independent, democratic country unto itself, but that's not going to happen. So in realistic terms, all they're doing, her and the other people who are fanning the flames of what has turned out to be a wildfire, is encouraging these young people to, in essence, sacrifice themselves for what I think is a cynical impossibility.
Okay. Bonnie, I'll let you respond to that. I mean, basically, Einar is saying, and I apologize for the sound quality here. There's an obvious problem. But still, he was saying that there are really just demands here for an independent country. I mean, that is just completely unrealistic. Would you agree? Go ahead.
Well, I believe that it is completely wrong, because our 5 demands include nothing about independence. What we're fighting for, our 5 demands are really, really humble. The very crucial olive branch from the government really is about setting up independent investigation about police brutality ever since the beginning of the movement. And our ultimate goal is universal suffrage, real democracy, one man, one vote, with no handpicking of the candidates by Beijing, which is already promised in the basic law in our constitution. So these demands are very humble, but only because even with 2 million people so peacefully took to the streets, and these 5 demands still being ignored, then people felt the need to escalate their actions. So this is a political problem which needs political solution. And the government, they unfortunately decided to use the police force, use violence, use arrest, use even torture to respond to our demands, respond to people's voices. That is why people feel the need to escalate. So I really urge the government and also the international community to see the truth of this protest. And the only way to help solve this problem, the only way to end our whole movement peacefully, is to respond to our very humble remaining four demands.
Okay, Einar, I know I can see you slightly rolling your eyes there. Unfortunately, our audio is just completely miserable. Bonnie, we'll ask you one final question because, as you know, Beijing is now challenging the Hong Kong High Court's decision reversing that ban on face masks. I mean, it was supposed to be a decision of an independent judiciary, but Beijing is saying that the court has really overstepped the line. What do you make of that?
Well, again, it shows that the Beijing do not restrain their powers at all because the court have decided. And we should respect the court's decision when they say something is unconstitutional. It is unconstitutional, and the government should respond to that. However, now Beijing is threatening to reinterpret the constitution to overrule what the court had already decided. That is exactly why the public anger in Hong Kong explodes, because they do not respect constitution at all, and they do not respect one country, two system, high degree of autonomy, and do not respect the Sino-British Joint Declaration at all. That is why the protest continues.
Okay, Bonnie Leung, I'm going to have to give you the final word. Unfortunately, we're out of time, and I have to apologize again for Einar's poor audio quality, but as we can see, the two are very far apart. We have to hope that a peaceful solution will somehow be found in Hong Kong.